The WWE on Netflix debut takes place on January the 6th at the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, California. And we know that WWE has something big in store because of a quote that Triple H said this week. He's been hyping this up for a while. We've talked about the importance of this event. But here's what Triple H had to say when they did their WWE and Netflix sort of launch event this week. Quote, January 6th isn't just the start of Raw on Netflix. It's an epic moment for WWE. We're treating this like a once-in-a-lifetime event, and the show will reflect that, end quote. So, Triple H hyping this up as a once-in-a-lifetime event for WWE, and he's not wrong, because this is, again, in terms of magnitude, the biggest edition of Raw and or SmackDown or any other television show, perhaps, they've ever done. You could go back to some of those early Saturday night's main events in the 80s where they're getting, 29, 30 plus million people watching on NBC. But in this particular case, where the company is at right now and the business aspect of things, it doesn't get any bigger than this Raw on Netflix on January the 6th. And that's why I think that WWE is going to have some big surprises in store for us whenever we get to that show. Because, again, if it's a once-in-a-lifetime type event, you're going to do things that people are going to remember. So when we start to try to figure out exactly what could those surprises be, well, one, you could start with someone who happened to be at this particular lunch/launch event, I guess you could say, for the Netflix deal this week with WWE and the Netflix partners getting together to, again, a month out, really start to hype this thing up. Becky Lynch was there, and it was reported that she was there. You can even see a photo of Becky Lynch as well, being in attendance for this. Now, you could say, well, Seth Rollins was there and all that, but Becky Lynch could be someone who could make her long-awaited return potentially on that January 6th episode of Raw, as Becky, we know, has been out of the mix for a little while now. There were rumors whether she was going to officially retire. She has a young daughter, as we know. There are also rumors that she could potentially go to AEW, which I'm not sure why anyone ever actually believed that. I don't think that's going to happen, knowing that her husband, Seth Rollins, is one of the top stars in WWE. And when you look at sort of the way things have gone for Becky Lynch, she's reached unprecedented heights in terms of what she's been able to accomplish in WWE, in terms of WrestleMania main events and those kind of things. And to get her back into the mix, perhaps with a surprise return on Netflix on January the 6th, would be significant, especially for the women's division. We've talked about it. This is the women's division. That you have a lot of these top stars like Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan and such, that, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, you keep going down the line, but you also know you're introducing new championships. That's going to get more visibility on the mid-card of the women's division. But if you're talking about pure stars, Becky Lynch's stardom is still right up there near or at the top with these other, top women stars in the division. So getting her back into the mix for WrestleMania 41 season, WWE is not going to say no to that, because that would be, again, a significant boost, especially when you look at some of the criticisms of the women's division, especially the championships, with Rhea and Liv Morgan really just being the ones that have only been involved in this. Io Sky is going to get a shot at Saturday night's main event against Liv Morgan, but it really has been about Liv and Rhea. So could you get Becky back into the fold there somehow, given the history between those two? You could certainly see that being one of the potential surprises on the card for the Raw on Netflix debut on January the 6th. Other potential surprises. Well, there are rumors out there about The Rock. Well, there are always rumors out there about The Rock. We know that. And could The Rock show up on the show? Well, if you've seen one of the more recent reports, actually came out on Wednesday, there was more discussion about the idea that The Rock will not be competing at WrestleMania 41. Even if that is not the case, do we really think that perhaps for this such once-in-a-lifetime type of event that WWE isn't going to do all they can to somehow get The Rock on that show? Will they announce it beforehand? Maybe, maybe not. I would think if you want a lot of eyeballs on that show, you probably want to announce beforehand that The Rock is going to be there on that show if he is. If he's not, well, hey, maybe he's really not going to be factored into the WrestleMania 41 plans. But if The Rock is there, well, if you talk about potential surprises, what could be in store there? Again, that's where things get a little bit more interesting, because if he's not going to have a match as soon as WrestleMania 41, could you do something with a surprise there where maybe, we kind of do officially get that split with The Rock and Roman Reigns and how it factors into the bloodline moving forward. That could be one of the things that Triple H has up his sleeve, perhaps on that particular show. And keep in mind, we're building stuff up here knowing that this is going to be a 3-hour show. There's going to be plenty of time to pull off a lot of different things. And we'll talk a few more things that actually could be on that show. But could The Rock also be a bit of a surprise there? Well, we know John Cena is going to be on that show as well, but could one of the more interesting teases be about who could John Cena interact with? Are we going to get a big sort of stunning angle with John Cena on that show to really kickstart his 2025 farewell tour? Could you have something between John Cena and CM Punk potentially? John Cena and Cody Rhodes? John Cena and Gunther? There's a lot of stuff that you could do. Randy Orton is also another option, given the history there between those two. So could they do something in that regard in terms of having something big planned for John Cena and what he's going to do to kickstart his run to the Royal Rumble, to Elimination Chamber? We know he's going to be there. And then to his final WrestleMania match should be for a World Championship, whether that's the WWE Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that's what you want to have the most dramatic effect for John Cena's last WrestleMania match. Additionally, what other surprises could be in store, right? We know there are plenty of legends out there. Could you get a return appearance from Stone Cold Steve Austin? Could The Undertaker show up? Could any other legends that we've certainly seen before that played a role in the history of WWE Raw, could they be there to kind of celebrate, here's where we started, here's where we are now, and you want to have some of those, kind of, again, more notable legends on the show that you may not announce beforehand, or, like I said, they may not leave it to surprise or chance at all and go ahead and get this roster built up in terms of, hey, we're letting you know ahead of time, all your favorites are going to be there. We're not just going to let it be a huge surprise. But we know Triple H likes to have his things that sort of catch you off guard a little bit. So I don't think they'll announce everyone that'll be there in terms of the legend side of things. But, again, would we be shocked if a Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, someone like that showed up on this show, and others as well you could see playing a factor on this one. And then I think when it comes to, other potential surprises on this show, the matches themselves, right? Because if this is going to be, we're going to go back to the phrase, a once-in-a-lifetime event, you want to have memorable matches as well, and that's where could you get some key title changes potentially on this show? Could you get something, again, where you get sort of a big surprise match out of nowhere that isn't advertised for the card? You do an angle right off the top, and all of a sudden, you've got a big, big main event. Because remember, if this is what they're going for, hype this up as the biggest edition of Raw in the history of the show, you probably want to have a main event that I don't want to necessarily go all the way and say it's WrestleMania worthy, but maybe it's not that far away, right? In terms of the kind of match you want to put up in the top spot on the biggest show you've ever done in terms of, your weekly television shows, which streaming show here with Raw now. But if you want to do it that way, I could see them giving us kind of a big match that we're not expecting and having that be the main event of this particular show, which, like I said, there are lots of different combinations out there. Do you want John Cena wrestling on this particular show? If so, you're going to probably put him in the top spot. Who would it be against? There's other options as well. Roman Reigns, we know, is going to be on there. CM Punk's going to be on there. Again, Cody will be there. There's lots of elements in play here where you could do a match that has consequences as the main event, and that may be something too, where they kind of tease it and let us know we're going to get something big. But until we actually maybe see, the opening of the show, some of the interactions right off the bat, which they will be bringing their biggest stars out, I guarantee you, right from the beginning, knowing you want to hook people in right at the start and kind of weave some of those stories all the way to the main event for the Raw on Netflix debut. But again, guys, there are more surprises just kind of thinking about this topic after they had this big Raw and Netflix, WWE and Netflix event on Tuesday. I thought it would be interesting to start to talk our way through some of these potential surprises we could get on this particular show. Like I said, Becky Lynch, The Rock, what's John Cena going to do? Is there a big surprise, development with John Cena on the show? CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Stone Cold Steve Austin, is he going to be there? Keep going down the line. There's lots of big things, I think, in store for what could be, as we said, the biggest edition of WWE Raw in the history of the show. And Triple H values those kind of things. He's got some things cooking on Raw right now, and I think he's going to have something cooking even more, perhaps, on what should be, as he said, a once-in-a-lifetime event on January the 6th, Raw on Netflix. So you guys give me your predictions. What do you think are going to be some of the big surprises for Raw on Netflix on the debut episode. What's going to happen? Give me your predictions. As always, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on your way out. Let me know your thoughts and predictions for the biggest surprises potentially on the Raw Netflix debut.